Once again to Moorish News. I am bringing you Moorish News, and I am M.S.T, Love L. And I also have someone in the studio that's going to also be assisting with this Moorish News, Grand Sheikh Love L. Islam, Grand Sheikh.
Islam, praise Allah.
Allah be praised this day. And for all of our listeners out there, this is Moorish News. And as Noble Drew Ali said, a man that was divinely prepared and sent to us in 1928. If our story is going to be told, then it is going to be told by us. Let me give thanks to my team, Voss, that's out there doing great things behind the scene. And we know that he is accepting. He is definitely, with us to make sure that everything turns out perfect. So today I want to open up because we need to make sure that we understand that the information that is about to be spoken is going to cover a lot of bases. It is up to you to accept the truth, because that's what's being spoken here today on Moorish News, the naked truth. Oh, and also, let me give a shout out to my other support system back there, Sister Janelle. Thank you so much for joining us. You could be looking at anything, anywhere, but you chose to check out Moorish News. And the line of news we have to cover today is great. But before we cover any news, I want to just say something, because we need unity so bad. So I'm going to read the Holy Covenant of the Asiatic nation, because we can do that as Moors. We want to cover this show. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother has given ye suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brother, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth thee to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own. If thy brother is in trouble, is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love for each other. That's that. And that is what we need, that Moorish unity and the spirit of that covenant. And understand this, whether you know it or not, today, let it be known here on Moorish News, we are a part and parcel of this said government through our birthrights as Moors. As Moors, we are a part and parcel of this said government. So for all you Moors out there who think that you might be so-called black, so-called Negro, so-called African American, etc., know that you are protected under this covenant once you proclaim your nationality. I'm going to cover some of the things we're going to be talking about, because this show is about Moorish sovereignty versus sovereign citizens. And that is part 2.
Part 3.
Part 3, pardon me. Part 3. Part 1, part 2, part 3, and we're going to probably have, this is going to be a 7 series, because there's a lot of information to cover. But here's what we're talking about in part 3. We're going to go over the same subject matters, but a little deeper. We're going to cover that economic genocide. We're also going to be talking about that mental manipulation as a genocide as well, literary genocide, social genocide, scientific genocide. We're going to be talking about nationalistic genocide. And the reason we're going to be covering all these subjects is because this is what we're going through in our present moment right now. And that nationalistic genocide is the lack of reference of anything positive about the Moors here in North America. in the news media, audio, radio stations, or for any other matter. So we need to touch down on that. And also, last but not least, we're going to be talking about the importance of supporting the administration that is representing you and that is standing up. So, in saying that, that's going to cover our topic on birthrights, all of the forms of genocide that is occurring to prevent us from proclaiming our nationality, which is a form of birthright theft. So, Grand Sheik, let us open up talking about the theft of the birthrights of the Moors here in North America. Who is the Moorish Sovereign and who is his subjects, and nationality from the perspective of a child, a children's game, cops and robbers.
Praise Allah, Islam. Happy Holy Day to all the viewers out there.
Happy Holy Day.
Islam. Gratitude for you having me on your platform. What we want to do is we want to go into the children's stories of cops and robbers. Because let me be clear and understand that our people, I understand that we identify with black culture, so-called black culture. We have an emotional attachment to being strong, to being able to trace our roots back. So to be clear, we're not trying to detract or take anything away from the people. But just picture this. It's just like a children's game. Children get together, they play the game of cops and robbers. And sometimes they'll put their feet in the circle to determine who's going to be the cops and who's going to be the robbers, okay? But imagine this. The cops are the good guys. They're the ones that's always chasing the robbers, okay? And oftentimes children will play these games, and they'll play the games around the adults, okay? And just picture this, the children are playing this game and the adults come in and they see some of the children have one child pinned down as the robber. So the adults are going to naturally ask the question, well, what are you guys doing? The children are going to look up and say, oh, we're playing games. We're playing cops and robbers, okay? It doesn't matter if the children are actually into it or they have gotten serious. The only thing that the adults see is a children's game. Picture this. Our people have taken the position and the role of being the robbers, whereas the European has taken the position of being the cops, okay? So when you go on the international realm and this plays out, our people are pretending to be robbers. That is not your culture. That is not your history. We never refer to ourselves as being black or anything like that. And then we're going before the nations of the earth and we're asking for redresses. We're asking for reparations as black people. Put it right back in the children's game. You're going to the adults and you're asking for remedy because you're the robber. But the only thing that the adults can see is a children's game that you all are engaged in. One group of children are the cops, one group of children are the robbers. So the nations of the earth represents the adulthood. I believe I made a reference to minors and minorities. These terminologies that we use in everyday society. Our people will refer to themselves as being the minority. So this is the question you have to ask yourself. Who is the majority if you refer to yourself as the minority? And when you look up these words and you find out what they mean, according to etymology, you'll find that a word like, okay, black, okay, that puts you in a connotative state. It means something that's pale, actually, okay? So when we do research, we like to look at the words from a point of view of etymology. And also getting more into the sovereignty piece, I want to show the people that this is the administration that represents you all. We actually have a document listing of documents for the viewing audience to look up and to research. Because when you're dealing with matters of sovereignty and body politics, these things have to be verifiable so that you can see, no, we're not playing children's games. This is actually, now we're in the realm of the adults. We're not claiming to be in the status of minority. We're claiming the status of the majority, because as the minority, and see, let us be clear about this. Being of the minority has nothing to do with your numbers, as far as how many you may be in number. Okay? In a sense, being a minor does have something to do with being biologically of age or full maturity, but it also has to do with a state of mind, because see, our people are in a minority state of mind, and this is the part that goes with the 3/5, the mind, body, soul, and then divine creed, and then the nationality, which composes of the full fifths. So rather than being 3/5 of a human being, you're a full human. All right? So
as a sovereign, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, can we talk about, let's talk about Noble Drew Ali, and let's share with the people how, with him being a sovereign, what had to occur for the successor to come about? Because as our people being referred to, as you mentioned, and as I know very well, as minorities, and that is the root word to minor. So you're calling a nation of people a bunch of children. That's
Okay.
clear.
let's be
What
clear.
occurred with our estate as a result of us being termed as minorities? Because children can be attached to, well, children can be, but children cannot handle the largest land trust known to man in that state. This cannot be put in the hands of children. What happened to us as a nation of people with
All
that,
right.
when that status minority was put upon us?
To be clear, let us understand that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali was sent to mend back the broken wires. So I want to read the Bible. The Prophet did refer to this being our Holy Bible.
That is our holy
And I want to take us straight to Revelations, that would be Revelations 2:9 and 3:9. Okay, and it reads, I know your works, tribulations, and poverty, but you are rich, referring to us as a people. And I know the blasphemy of those who say they are Jews and are not, but are a synagogue of Satan. Now, going on to, and I'm going to explain this once I'm finished reading. And then 3:9 goes into, it says, indeed, I will make those of the synagogue of Satan who say they are Jews and are not, but lie. Indeed, I will make them come and worship before your feet, and to know that I have loved you. So understand the prophet, Revelation 3:9.
Revelation 3:9.
In regards to the trust, we have to understand that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali was the love thought made manifest, sent to us to put us back on the, level us on the square, so that we can be respected amongst the nations and take our place amongst the affairs of man once again. And as the sovereign, let me read, he issued charters. This is the act of a sovereign. So no one else and nowhere else have we been seen the authority given.
So this is the original name, Successor, Prophet
Right.
Noble Drew Ali, and this is this.
This is the 3 pieces of literature. Let's be clear, so this is all official. This is the 3 pieces of literature, and we see the prophet stand on the solid rock of salvation with humanity being in his arms. We see our authorization document, which is the charter that was
Trust.
issued by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali as the sovereign of the body politic. So
All of this
we
would be
have
the foundation, would you say?
this is the foundation which it stems from. The first document being 1010-5905, which is the chartered document here that is referred to in the end of time and the fulfilling of the prophecies, which I am about to read to the listening audience at this time. So, and I just want everybody to be clear that this is in real time. This is in present tense. So it's as if we're speaking of the events now as they're occurring.
And you all heard this. This is being heard for the very first time on Moorish News.
Islam.
This is the foundation of the Moors here in North America, that great land trust. If you don't know, we are Moorish News, and this is Moorish Sovereignty versus Sovereign Citizens, Part 3.
Islam.
Grand Sheikh is about to read the foundation of the Moors here in North America and what makes us one of the richest nations on the planet
All right.
here today.
As
Thank you.
As a sovereign. Islam.
As a
this
sovereign.
is the end of time. This is the divine instructions from the Holy Prophet we're reading from the Moorish Science Temple of America, Circle 7, Holy Koran. And this is the end of time, the fulfilling of the prophecies, verse 4. And it reads, the Moorish Science Temple of America is a lawfully chartered and incorporated organization. Any subordinate temple that desires to receive a charter, the Prophet has them to issue to every state throughout the United States, etc. So one of the powers of a sovereign is to issue charters. So that power and authority remains consistent.
Okay,
And
that's the charter.
this is the charter
And then
that the Prophet Noble Ali speaks of issuing. As you can see, his signature is right there.
the Holy Koran.
Right? So
absolutely
in
the
order
charter.
to maintain the sovereignty of our nation, there has to be a continuity to the Prophet. But see, we have to understand that everybody that was standing with the Prophet wasn't necessarily with him. All right? And this is part of the reason why we had to have documentation to prove and to go back and to trace. One of the documents that we have found, that was found in 1935 by Brother J. Shelby Ill Sheik, is document 11551822, found in Cook County Recorder of Deeds, Registrar of Torrance Titles. And this document explains how the most of the ones that were listed, if not all of them, wandered away from the rules and usages of such Moorish Science Temple of America, which means they dropped the ball, which means they did not consistently hold themselves up to be successors of the Prophet Noble Ali. And part of the reason we know this is because there were certain things that were not done. The actions and the activities of these people were not consistent with what should have been done by the sovereign, because the actions of the sovereign is continued on through his subjects. And we have to understand, being successors to the Prophet, that makes us subjects to the sovereign. So I want to go into magistrate and subject, because this is something that needs to be pounded in until it's a part of every part. The divine instructions for the Holy Prophet, magistrate and subject. O thou, the favorite of heaven, whom the sons of men, thy equals, have agreed to raise to sovereign power and set as a ruler over themselves, consider the ends and importance of their trust, far more than the dignity and height of thy station. Thou art clothed in purple and seated on a throne. The crown of majesty invested thy temples. The scepter of power is placed in thy hand, but not for thyself were these ensigns given, not for thine own, but for the good of thy kingdom. The glory of a king is the welfare of his people. His power and dominion rest on the hearts of his subjects. The mind of a great prince is exalted by the grandeur of his situation. He evolveth high things and searcheth for business worthy of his power. He calleth together the wise men of his kingdom. He consulteth among them with freedom and heareth the opinions of them all. He looketh among his people with discernment. He discovereth the abilities of men and employeth them according to their merits. His magistrates are just, his ministers are wise, and the favorite of his bosom deceiveth him not. He smileth on the arts, and they flourish. The science improved beneath the culture of his hand. With the learned and ingenious he delighteth himself. He kindleth in their breasts emulation, and the glory of his kingdom is exalted by their labors. The spirit of the merchant who extendeth his commerce, the skill of the farmer who enricheth his lands, the ingenuity of the artist is the improvements of the scholar. All of these he honoreth with his favor, or rewardeth with his bounty. He planteth new colonies, he buildeth strong ships, he openeth rivers for convenience, he formeth harbors for safety. His people abound in riches, and the strength of his kingdom increaseth.
Great. What I want to say, Grand Sheik, is that is great. And what we're talking about here is, in fact, the foundation of the Moorish Science Temple of America. You're not going to hear this anywhere else. And the reason you're not going to hear this anywhere else because this is Moorish News. And this is why we have Moorish News, because this information has to be pounded in. You see, we understand here at Moorish News the shock and the genocidal events that are occurring to our people, because as a result of not knowing who we are and not having attachment to our birthright and being stripped of our birthright, we were left here without anything. And then all of a sudden, here comes a man by the name of Noble Ali, and the prayer is saying through his holy prophet, through his holy prophet, and we're already saying in the name of Jesus. So right away that caused a battle, because we said, well, wait a minute. We're saying in the name of Jesus, and now it's through his holy prophet. Well, what we're saying is, this is not a battle at all, because we're talking two men that came with the same message. Not to take anything from Brother Yahshua, because understand the alphabet J did not exist 2,000 years ago. So Prophet Yahshua and Noble Jew Ali being on the same mission, and that hand extended to our people, is simply to let us know Jacob got the blessing. Israel did get the blessing. And in getting that blessing, Israel knew that we were a people plain rich, and even until this day, what people understand. And please think, sisters and brothers, there had to be a trail, a paper trail, to show that the property is in fact, it's been, may I have the trust please to charter? The property in fact has been put in a trust. We talk about it in the Bible. Where's the proof that the land belongs to Jacob? This is it, my brothers and sisters. So what had to occur to secure the land? Because no one knew about it.
Islam.
What had to occur? This had to occur. Is that right, Grand Sheik?
Islam, and I was leading to the line of succession with regards to the documentation that's been put on the record to show the paper trail with regards to the succession.
Absolutely. So we went from reading the charter, the facts that we've already read. In fact,
I wanted to continue on in the vein to show the instructions that have been given as far as what the role of the sovereign, what our sovereign, the role, the instructions that's been left for our sovereign.
Well, brother, I know that time is going up, and we're coming close to that point, and I know we have quite a bit to cover, but can you get into the role of the sovereign so we can move forward and get to the meat, the real deep meat? Because Noble Jew Ali is a sovereign and we are his subjects, and we understand his role is to wake us up so that we can take part in understanding what we must do for this land to be opened up so we can get this, what we call the get out situation up off us, that false poverty.
Islam. Okay, well, let me make reference to a note. This endowment was the earthland as our nature, homeland, domicile, Maxim, present day America in 1927 AD, a divine and national assignment, and made them the assignee trustee in the form of a covenant from their Father God, Yahweh Allah Il, also in which the state of the Moorish Science Temple of America, Maxim, deriving its power and authority from the great Koran of Muhammad, to propagate the faith and extend the learning and truth of the great prophet, Noble Jew Ali, in America. The great Koran is the revealed word of God, Allah himself. Just like the law said about the internal sovereignty of a state does not in any degree depend upon the recognition by other states, the same holds true for the state of the M.S.T. of A. Just as the eternal sovereignty of the United States of America was complete from the time they declared themselves a free, sovereign, and independent state on the 4th of July, 1776. It was upon this principle that the Supreme Court determined in 1808 that the several states composing the Union, so far as to regards to their municipal regulation, became entitled from the time when they declared themselves independent to all rights and power of a sovereign state, and that they did not derive from them concessions made by the British King. See, the Treaty of Peace of 1782 contained a recognition of their independence, not a grant of it. And the Declaration of Independence said, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the power of the earth the separate and equal station to which the law of nature and the nature's God, Allah, entitled them to a decent respect to the opinions of mankind, requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to separation. The Moorish American Muslims are sovereign, autonomous nation of people under a chartered constitutional monarchy, theocratic government of political independence as a nation with full statehood recognition and self-determination, etc. And the Holy Prophet, Noble Jew Ali, is the spiritual tenure and divine and national head of the state of the M.S.T. of A, Moorish Islamic Republic government and patrimony Q estate, domicile freeholder in the due course of fee simple, absolute alloidium, title deed, owner as season of deed, etc., with permanent sovereignty over all of our natural resources, gold, silver, etc. Ipso jure, the Holy Prophet Noble Ali is the spiritual divine head of the Moorish Islamic state, absolute monarch with full autonomous sovereignty, par imperium, not habet imperium, and extraterritorial. The state of the M.S.T. of A is a de jure religious theocratic monarch and not a republic. The Moroccan Empire, Northwest of Mexico, is the Islamic State Republic and is not a monarchy. Our Holy Prophet Noble Ali is the spiritual tenure and spiritual sovereign political head of the Moorish Islamic theocratic state, does possess exclusive jurisdictional immunity in the operation of our nation public national duties of the state, and also his Moorish minister plenipotentiary officer in the chain of command in international affairs affecting the ability to show competence, and he is not incognito. We do possess the necessary credentials and requirements of Moorish statehood and government capacity of recognition by the Family of Nations international law, Moorish legation of its ambassadors, our instrumentality held by all legation officers, our instrumentality, sovereignty, immunity, as permanent legation of the imprescriptible right of the Moorish state to send and receive diplomatic ambassadors, envoys, etc. The state of sui generis and possesses international personality right to legation in the Moorish imperium dominion, state territorial sovereignty, authority, ultimate title of domicile, the Moorish Islamic state, economic rights and duties of states, charter of social, national, and cultural rights, civil and political rights to self-determination, and the effective principle of nationality and effective doctrine of utile enforcement and equality of state doctrine and equitable geographical representation, and executive certificate of Moorish exclusive economic zone and expropriated religious property, extraterritoriality of Moorish judicial execution according to the 5 freedoms agreements and the flag of convenience of state, flag right to fly, and no forced labor or forcible transfer of Moorish people, which constitutes genocide, and Moorish freedom of air, freedom of sea, freedom of land, and full power of functional immunity, functional protection, and reparations for all injuries of our Moorish American national Muslim Moorish fundamental human rights guarantees, the fundamental principles and rights, work, and fundamental rule of international humanitarian law in armed conflicts and Moorish headquarters agreements and Moorish humanitarian intervention and immunity with Moorish imperium, implied powers of all indigenous Moorish people, innocent passage against European insurgency, insurrection, creation of Moorish international banks for reconstruction and development, and Moorish International Center for Settlement and Investment of Disputes, and International Bill of Rights, Moorish International Court of Justice, Moorish International Criminal Court of Law, Moorish International Monetary Fund, Moorish International Telecommunications Union, Moorish Trade Organization, Wrongful Act and Inviolability, Moorish International Judicial Law, making legislation court for all Moorish judicial decisions, making of Moorish Islamic jurisprudence of jurisdiction and control in all just sanguineous cases, and Moorish law of treaties, making in Moorish international leasing, legal dispute, and Moorish legality of the use of force against all nuclear weapons use in armed conflict, Moorish self-defense by use of force, and no levy in Marseille against our Moorish people to be used, etc. Moorish lump sum agreement and notice to merger of Moorish states and legal use of Moorish state mercenaries in armed conflict, and Moorish military necessity and military staff committee against European belligerent occupation of any Moorish land, etc. Islam.
Thank you very much. And you can only get this on Moorish News. Only on Moorish News can you get this. And all that was said by Loville can be done with this document. This document right here gives us, that's right, us Moors, the power, the force to do and be what we already are, sovereign. Autonomy, which is having the power to have your own. So you see, we don't have a problem, definitely not a financial problem. What we have is a unity problem, because brothers and sisters, what we must do, we must come together in order to make our lives better for our babies. That's why we must come together. So I am making an appeal to all of our people, those that go by the name of so-called colored, those that are going by the name of so-called African American, those who are friendly and feel that it's okay to be black, those that feel it's okay to be my nigga.
Try something different. What change?
Please, I want to challenge all of my people, all of my people that go by those particular names.
That's a good point, Sheik,
folks, to come on in.
We tried being niggas, we tried being black people, we tried being Afro-Americans, African Americans, coon, shine.
Yes, we
I mean,
have.
we like the term my nigga. What's
Yes,
up,
we
my
do.
nigga? We like to use those terms, and I noticed that we like to get into the trends.
Yes, we
we'll
do.
call ourselves different things, and it's to the point where we have other people that would call themselves niggas because they've heard us use these terminologies in reference to ourselves. So even in our lower state, we have people that are imitating us.
Yes, and not to forget to mention how a lot of our youth are wearing their pants beyond at the hip, which means even in the winter, you're going to see our youth out there. So we're going to have some pneumonia. Moms, you better get ready and get those, what we call long johns together, because what's going to occur is you're going to be in the emergency room because our children need to be covered. So what I want to say and what I want to do is, I want to, you have one over there, Grand
Now, I
Chief.
wanted to cover.
I want to say to our people that we have two. I want to challenge you, okay? Because all of your lives, whether you're in your teens, 18 and over, I'm talking to our young adults, because you have to, be of age to proclaim your nationality. Whether you're in your early 20s, late 20s, early 30s, late 30s, early 40s, 50s, 60s, late 60s, late 50s, you've been what you call yourself all those years, and nothing has occurred. Just a small few of us has slithered through and got up to the top, and even there, we have gag orders where we can't even go back to our communities and give to the ones we love, and you know how loving we are. When we get it, we gotta come back to show you what we got. You understand? Hey, I gotta show you what I did. I'm coming back home, but that gag order say when you get that finance, you better spend it the way I tell you to spend it. Because why? Because it is a pimp whore type mentality that we're up under, that genocide, and you gotta do what I tell you to do. So we are forbidden to come back to our neighborhoods and understand. I know, because I'm Moorish, I know how the hearts of our people that are wealthy as well as the ones that are indigent. So I understand that they want to come back and spread the money. That's why they go over into Africa and build the schools and do things, because they cannot. Do your research, okay? Don't take it from me. I'm saying to my brothers and sisters to please let us try something different, because we've got nothing under those names that allude to slavery, and I know you love them, and a lot of us, we use them. Why don't we try play a game? Instead of cops and robbers, let's play an adult game. Why don't we try calling ourselves by the name that we are? Now, I have the proof. We have the proof to show you that we are Moors. They call us black or Moor. We dropped the Moor and we calling ourselves blacks, African Americans, my nigga, and everything else. And these are so-called names that allude to slavery. Why don't we play this game and try calling ourselves Moors and get that nationality card? It ain't like you got to go and get a surgery and get something put into you.
Let's explain what it all goes into, because nationality deals with the land.
Absolutely, but before you get to that, just let me finish this point. I'm going to let you have it, Sheik, because you got the goods. What I'm saying to the brothers and sisters is, let's try calling ourselves Moors to see what we can get from it. You understand? Because reparation, understand this, Grand Sheik, reparation,
it's what it is.
It is what it is. I'm playing a game. Our people don't want to be
No,
Moors.
that's not true. Our people don't understand. They've been tricked.
Okay, let me backtrack. Let me backtrack.
This is the form of European psychology.
I understand that. More what I am saying to you is that in riding these buses, I hear my brothers and sisters say all the time, I'm a missionary. I'm dealing with the people. I understand. I feel you, Grand Sheik. What I'm saying to my people is this. I'm gonna be black forever. I'm a black man.
Some of our people
So-called.
have not
Some
heard
of our
of the
people
fact that they're
have not
Moors.
heard of Moors. Some of our people don't even know what a Moor
Some
is.
of our people have heard, but they're resistant to it because of some certain COINTELPRO tactics.
Yes,
Like, let me
Moors.
level with the people. Some of our people would say, oh, the Moors are responsible for slavery and woo-woo-woo, they're race traits. Let's be clear. Let me level with the people. There are bad people in every nationality. Sure, we have a dark past. Sure, we contributed to our own downfall. Sure, we strayed after the gods of Europe whom we knew nothing of. But the fact of the matter is, we are who we are. Those of you who know the truth, those of you who are concealers of the light and not revealers, you will be discovered with dirt on your head. But this message is for those who, the angels unawares, those that have not known, those that have been through the school institutions, and not once have they heard the term Moor as it relates to who they are and where they come from.
Absolutely.
And you have to understand, there's been tons of finance that's been spent. This has been no cheap expense that's just been done.
Absolutely.
There's been billions and trillions of dollars to contribute to the literary genocide of our people.
Absolutely.
This is not no coincidence that majority of our people that are walking around, if you do a survey of 10 people, 9 out of 10 people will not have heard or do not have understanding that their nationality is in fact Moorish American or that they are Moors.
Islam, Grand Sheikh, all praises due to the Father, and thank you for that. What I am saying to my people today is, Harriet Tubman stated that I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000,000 if they knew they were slaves. I am simply asking my people to play this game because, yes, you are a Moor. A lot of our people are so sick mentally because we have mental slavery. The chains have been taken off the wrist, the ankles, and from around the neck. This is where the slavery is today. I'm saying to my people, please, for the babies, get your nationality card. This is a game, okay? Get a nationality card, call yourself a Moor, and then let's deal with the reparation.
Well, let's talk about what the
And the
game
reason I'm
really
saying
is.
this is because if we play the game, see, a lot of times we play
Well, let's
games and we
talk
come
about
into
what
the
the game
truth
is, Sheikh, is-
about.
let's not
okay,
just say
the
a game.
Okay,
It's
let's
the
talk about what the
government.
game is.
It's the government game, okay?
Let's play the
and
government
the government game is the concept of whatever the government is. It's the control of. It's a form of mind control. So the government that you should be lending the support to and giving your life force to is the Moorish government. Okay. Now let's understand that the government of the U.S.A was given permission from the Moorish government. This is how you get into the treaties. And this is why the United States Constitution, being one of the greatest documents of all times, according to Article 6, lists treaties being the supreme law of the land.
I understand.
All right?
Let me get a little further into this game because I want to get this out, Grand Sheikh. The game that's being played on us right now is birthright theft, which means we have no access to our land, finance. Our people are being kicked out on the street. There's no respect in the courts. We have criminal. The courts are corrupt. How do you get justice? I heard a brother say, how do you get justice in a corrupt system? The game I'm asking my people to play is to say you are Moorish because you can't accept it. Okay, we cannot accept it because everything that points to us being Moorish is being painted as black, color, African American.
It's either that
if
or
you
continue.
paint yourself as Moor, here is what's going to occur. What's going to occur is the reparations that you are going for as a Moorish American, the door is going to swing off the hinges. Why? Because your birthright that holds 5 continents that make us all multi-trillionaires, this birthright is in fact real and it's documented in Cook County Recorder Deeds Office. This is the proof that if you play the game that I'm asking you to play under the name of Moorish American and you're going for your reparations, you're going to win. Why? Because we are known by this name before the nations of the earth. But it's one of the greatest secrets of all time. I am begging you to play the game because I know for a fact that it will work. Why do I know it will work? Because I am the one that found this document that was hidden as a baby. And it was said that this is one of the largest trusts and that these people are not going to let you take this. Well, let me tell you about these people, okay? We have a great God, Allah, the Father of this universe. You call him what you like. Shalom, Islam, Hotep, Assalamu alaikum. Call him what you like, but he's waiting. That's divine spirit is what's going to back you when you play that game and say, I'm a Moorish American Muslim here in the Northwest. Guess what? In North America territory, the doors are going to open up. That sovereignty power that the Grand Sheikhs talk about is going to be used. We're going to be able to build our own schools on fresh ground, break ground. Because why? Because there are provisions already made by the mayor, starting with our mayor, Harold Washington, may he rest in peace, acknowledging
Sheikhs,
us
let me say something
as
to
indigenous
those,
people.
Let me say something
and
to
Rahm
those
Emanuel
Moors.
also.
Let me say
5
something to
minutes.
those. Let me say something to those Moors. There's a quotable from Sun Tzu.
Thank you, brother.
And it says, when troops are strong and officers are weak, the army is insubordinate. When the officers are valiant and the troops are ineffective, the army is in distress. The end of the long-range era is over. For all those Moors who are ambiguous towards the Prophet Noble Ali, and they feel like they have been Moors since time immemorial, let us understand something. That's good and great and all of that. But it's just like they say, when you put the fingers together, they can form a fist. I mean, it's harder to break the hand when it's in a fist, whereas it's easier if it's just fingers separated, okay?
What do you say to the brothers out there that are strong, who know they're Moors, and that's doing their own
together,
thing?
We achieve more. Unity. A house divided cannot stand. This is part of the reason why the body politic was created, so that we can get our, because we would never get our just due as so-called black people. And that's just from a lawful perspective.
Well, Grand Sheikh, with
we're going to continue
4
to
minutes
do,
being
we're
held,
going to
can I
continue-
ask you to do something for the audience? Because as I mentioned, it's going to take at least 7 series. I mean, not series, but 7 shows to cover all of the information. And we like to get a little here and there. Can you go into the depth of the birthrights for about 30 seconds on economic genocide, so the people get an understanding how we're going to open up that theft of our birthrights, economic genocide, how the lack of reference of anything positive about us, Moors here in North America.
This is part of the reason why we're opening up the platform for Moorish news media, because we're going to have to give the information to the people from our perspective and
Absolutely.
share everything. So we're looking to open things up, and we will be coming to a station near you. So stay tuned.
Absolutely. And one of the things I want to talk about is the power of the press to provide that, transparency, and how we're going to be putting in those FOIAs to get, the information so that we can put it out there to the people, because the press has a power, you understand. What I like to say to our sisters—
It's the Freedom of Information Act.
Yes.
That is what it breaks down into. And it's part of the power of the press, because that is a constitutional provision that's set up. You have to understand, people, the Constitution has been set up to protect us as indigenous people, so that our estate and our rights are not infringed upon. It doesn't grant any rights. It just recognizes those rights that have always been there, that exist. So we have to understand who we are from the proper perspective.
So we're going to be coming back to talk about that literary genocide and that legal genocide on our people. But in closing, I want to share with our brothers and sisters, and mainly the sisters, because you are the first teachers. And the first school is that womb. I want to say to all the young sisters out there and the older sisters that are with children in their womb, start to educating your babies right now, because they hear you and they can retain the information. And here's the message. You have created them to bring them into this world, not to work for another man, woman, or child, but to create jobs for our people. And understand, sister, we have to fight. You understand? For our nation existence. It's all about us existing today. The love of our people. We have to bring back the love in our hearts for our men and begin to humble ourselves. It's not about the money that you make, sister, because money don't make a man. It is free national standards and power that make a man and a nation. So the best thing we can do is, brothers, grab you a sister, and please, I hope and pray that she has 3, 4, 5 children, and stick with her. Assist her. Lift her up, because that's what we need to do. We need to bring our families together in the spirit of love. We need to recognize that we are at war. And I know you don't hear the bullets and you don't see the bodies in the street, but like the genocide is strictly about wiping out a nation totally, and that's what's occurring right now. We're being wiped out. We talked about that mental manipulation as a genocide, the literary genocide, grand sheet. We talked about the legal genocide. This is what we're going to be covering on our shows to come. And also that nationalistic genocide. And let's talk about now the importance of supporting Moorish news, because we have a lot of people out there that know the truth. What is it going to take for the Moors here in North America to unite? Because you can see right now, doing your own thing, and doing what you want to do, your way is not going to do. And what you have here is we're bringing to you Moorish news, not what's coming from us, but from the prophet. Give me some good words for the people.
Well, it's all Islam. It's all spiritual in nature, what we're bringing. I just want to convey a message to the people. This should be one of the clearest signs of our autonomy. I want to read Act 1 of the Divine Constitution and bylaws in closing. And it's a matter of fact, we're usually supposed to open and close our meetings according to the Circle 7, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
Islam.
The Grand Sheikh and Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of America. The assisted Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Now that's sovereignty. Every time you read it, you're seeing sovereignty being demonstrated right there, because the only way you're going to be able to make law is having autonomy. Let's be clear about that. The Prophet put sovereignty right in the first act of the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. As a matter of fact, that is the Divine Constitution and Bylaws, Act 1.
Islam.
Well,
look, people of the earth, Moors, no matter who you are, where you are, know that you are loved and that Moorish news needs you. Yes, we need your support. We are in a time in our lives here in 2017, the year of our Lord, where we are being put in a genocidal position in every area of our life. Once again, I'm calling on all of our people, no matter what you call yourself, recognize and understand. I know you see it. You got to see it. It's in your face.
stop being the Crayola. Stop being an adjective.
Now it's time to take a stand and call yourself by your name. We have tried everything else. Now let's try doing us. Let us try saving our babies and putting our pride aside, putting our ego aside, putting all that competition with one another aside. Sisters, for you, putting your jealousy aside. Aren't you tired of being jealous of yourself? Because when you look in the mirror, all you see is yourself. When you look at me, all you see is yourself. When I look at you, all I see is myself. Sisters, you got to be tired of fighting each other on every level in life, in every level. Start with your own daughters. Come on now, we got to stop this. We got to stop fighting ourselves and loving ourselves so we can start loving our men, because they are dependent on us. They are choking the life out of our men in front of our faces, making us think we in front. Well, no, we're not in front, because we can't do anything without our men. I hope you know that. And if you don't, keep living, you'll find it out. I want to thank you all for joining us in Moorish News.
The fallen sons and daughters of Asiatic nations of North America need to learn to love instead of hate.
So you see, love is in fact the only savior of the world. I am asking in the name of everything that we love as a nation, let us love. So it has been a great show, and Moorish News is coming back to you with part 4. Because it's not over. We're going to break down all these different forms of genocide that's occurring to our people right now, so you'll understand why it's impossible for you to have jobs on the same level of everybody else. So you'll understand why you walk into the stores in your communities and some of the young sisters maybe have dating the ones that are selling the goods. So you'll understand why you're in the position you're in without, and you're one of the wealthiest nations on the planet, with a trust, a land trust, hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars. I said it, and it's true. Now do your own research and let us begin to look at ourselves, sisters. Sisters, let us look at ourselves, because when you uplift a woman, you uplift
uplifted
a
nation.
nation.
Islam.
Peace.
Praise Allah. Peace. Another great show.